Welcome to this third training that will be about the accounting. Let's start by going into the general ledger charts that you can find in Complus. To access them, click on the menu Setup, Accounting, and double-click on the feature General Ledger. Click on Display. This will display all your general ledger charts available in the software. If you select a line and click on Modify, you will get some details, like the account number, the description of the general ledger, also one of the categories that are available. You can select between assets, bank, capitals, expenses, liabilities, or incomes. Click on Cancel. Of course, you can create a new general ledger, delete the general ledger. Let's close this window. Now let me show you where you can assign those general ledger for your product. In Complus, the assignment of general ledger are working by product category, meaning that all your cell phones could be in the same category and you will assign a specific general ledger's account charts for this specific product category. Let me show you an example. You need to go into the inventory in the setup section, click on product category there. You will have all the product category that was created into the system. Now let's select the Apple Care and click on Modify. On screen you will have the code of the product, the name. This is where you're going to assign a general ledger for the cost of goods sales account, another general ledger for the inventory account, and another one for the sales income account. On the multi-branch general ledger, it is also possible to assign different general ledger account depending on the location. Some of our customers wants to manage them, all the locations, as sub-business from the main location. This could be possible by using Complus. When you're done, click on OK, close this window. In Complus, you can manage several payment modes, and of course you need to assign some general ledger to them. You need to go into the Setup section, click on the Accounting, and click on Payment Mode. This is where you're going to find all the payment mode in your Complus. Let's select Cash and click on Modify to have some details about this payment method. You will have the name of it. This is where you will need to select your general ledger account. Of course, it is possible to enter different general ledger by location if you want to manage your business this way. When you're done, just click on OK and close this window. You have to assign a general ledger for your labor type. Let me show you what is it exactly. In the transactions, let's create an order. New order, select of all customer, OK. You have that tab called labor. If I click on plus, it is possible to charge a customer with some labor like installation, migration, or other things. You need to assign some general ledger for every labor you have in the software. Let me show you where to do it. Go to the Setup section, click on a General folder, and double click on the labor type. You will see all the labor that are available. You can enter new labor, modify, delete one. Let's select this one and click on Modify. This is where you will need to enter a general ledger for this labor. You will need to do it for all your labor. Let's close this window. There is another place in the software where you need to assign a general ledger. It's about the branch file. To access them, you need to go into the Setup menu, click on Branch, and then double click on the branch file. By default in the software, it will select the branch where you're actually logged on. meaning that if you're logging into Cherry Square, for example, this is going to show you everything related to that branch only. So you will need to do that for all the branches in your company. Go to the Accounting tab, go to the General Ledger. This is where you will need to assign some of your general ledger. One for the to be received, the rounding, customer advance, repair deposit, security deposit, inter-branch collection, the interest, the petty cash, bill payment, freight, the air inter-branch, the AP multi-branch, and the internal purchase. When you're done, just click on OK. Remember, you will need to do it for all your location. So if I click on Bayview and return in the setup, branch file, you will also need to do it on the other place. Now let me show you where exactly you can assign a system, an external system that will be your accounting software. Like you were told, Complus can synchronize the transactions into your accounting software. To start configuring your link with your accounting software, go in the Setup, Branch folder, double click on the branch file. Click on the Accounting section, and then on the first tab, that is Exportation to Accounting System, select your accounting software. Could be Acomba, Advantage, Simply Accounting, QuickBooks, WinPro, or Sage, and then enter the export directory, like this. You can even select what kind of transactions you want to export from Complus. It could be daily entries, detailed entries, the payment mode, inventory entries, the in and out, and also the export cost of goods sold on sales. When you're going to do your export, this is something that I'm going to show you later on this training. This will, depending on your system, it will either connect to it and start synchronizing, or it will be a two-step process. You will start by exporting files from Complus into this export directory, access your accounting software, and start the import of those files you just exported. When you're done, click on OK and close this window. In Complus, it's possible to manage your corporate customer. So you can manage statements, you can assign a credit limit, and you can do a follow-up with them. Let's go into the Transactions menu and Customer. Let's search for a corporate customer. Let's select the corporate customer that is just there and enter in modification. You can see that this is actually a company, and something you need to note is that there's an email for all the transaction you're gonna do with them, and there is also a specific email when you're gonna send a statement to them. In the Options tab, this is where you're gonna tell the system how the customer wants to receive the statement shipment. Is it by email, mail, fax, email and mail, or not? Let's select email. On the accounting, it is where it's going to be possible to assign a credit limit, the term in days, the annual interest rate. In the contacts, it's possible to add multiple contacts. But for some of them, if I enter in modification, you can tell the system to send a copy of the statement. Let's click on OK. It is also possible to receive a deposit from the customers. So if the customer is coming into your store, it's a corporate one, it can always give you some money for later. Let's say that the customer will give you some money in cash. 1,000 and click on OK. You see, you just added a deposit of 1,000 from this customer. When you're done, click on OK. close this window. Let me show you some transactions you can do with corporate customers. Let's go into the order. Let's click on New. Select a corporate customer and click on OK. Now let's select some product in this transaction. Let's go with some iPhone. Let's apply filter by smartphone and let's select this one. Let's click on OK. The system will ask me what is the serial number. Let's select one and click on OK. Let's enter a SIM card number if applies. Okay. So you can see that there's a balance to be paid by this customer. Now we're gonna invoice it. We're gonna tell the system that it was received by the customer and there's still a balance to be paid. And remember, this is a corporate customer. Let's click on Complete. Click on OK. You can print the invoice, send it by email, or have a preview. Let's close this window. You can see you just did a transaction with that corporate customer and there is still a balance to be paid about this transaction. Let's close this window. Close this window. Let's go into the invoice section and let's display everything. You can see this is one of the transactions we did. If we enter in modification, there's still that balance to be paid. In Complus, it is possible to assign manually an interest if you have the permission to do it. So it could be possible to add an interest by selecting the payment method and entering the amount of money. It is also possible to receive a payment manually, specifically for this transaction, by clicking on the payment button. Let's select this one. Let's select the payment mode, check, enter the payment amount. That will be the full amount of it. And let's click on Submit. Because it's a check, the system requires an authorization number. Let's click on Submit. Automatically, this invoice was paid by the customer. When you're done, click on OK. I close this window. It is also possible to manage all the transactions you did with a corporate customer by accessing the customer file. Let me show you that. Go into the transaction menu, click on Customer. Let's search for a corporate customer. Let's click on Display. Click on Modify. Let's maximize the screen. Let's go into the Invoices section. You can see on screen that there are several invoices. Some of them was fully paid by a customer. Some of them was partially paid. You can see the total with the balance. If you go into the accounting section and you click on this button, this will give you an idea of what is the balance that needs to be paid by your customer. Let's return into the invoices section. Now let's apply a partial payment for some invoice that are unpaid. Let's click on Payment. Let's enter an amount of $200 right there, meaning that the customer wants to pay some money from this transaction. Let's select a payment method and enter the payment amount. When you're done, click on Submit. Depending on your payment mode, the system will ask you for authorization number. Let's enter this authorization number and click on Submit. The process was complete. You can now see that the balance is different. If you go into the accounting and you click on this button, this will adjust the balance that needs to be paid by your customer. When you're done, click on OK and close this window. It is possible in Complus to synchronize the transaction you're doing into your accounting software. To do so, you need to access a feature called the accounting exportation. Go to the Tools menu, click on the Accounting folder, double-click on the Accounting exportation. You can enter the start date, end date, or you can select a predefined time range. Let's display this date. On the Account Receivable tab, you're going to have a lot of details. Those are related to all the transactions that were done on this specific day, and they are assigned to a general ledger. You can see some cash payment, the taxes, the prepaid, the receivable, and the sales hardware device. Noted that the debit and the credit are equal. If you go into the totals, this will give you another way of having the details. And if you go into the details, it's going to give you more details with the invoice number, the order, if a deposit were taken, the salesperson, the customer, and more. When you're ready to export, provide a description like this: October 2016, and click on Process. You can see that the export is completed. We just exported some file into this folder. Let's click on OK. Let me show you. If you go into the accounting export, which is the folder when we just did the export, you will find this file. Let's double click on it. You can see this is the detail that we just exported from Complus. To import all the transaction, you need to go into your accounting software and then use a feature to import those details. This is the way to synchronize the transaction from Complus into your accounting software. Let me show you one of the reports that can be useful about the accounting, that is called a sales journal. To access this report, go into the reports section, open the accounting folder, go into the sales journal, and double click on the detailed one. You can apply a filter by a branch, by a specific employee, and you can enter a start date or an end date, as you could always select a predefined time range. Let's click on print, and let's see a preview. You're gonna find all the details about the transaction you did on this date. You can see the delivered, the date, the invoice number with a star, the corporate customer, the material, labor, transport, and everything related to those transactions you did on this specific day. And you can have some details about the assignment of your general ledger account. How many for your receivable, prepaid sales deposit, transport, your taxes, and others. When there's a star in a report, it is possible to access the invoice by double-clicking on it. Automatically, it will open the invoice and give you all the details about it. Let's close this window. And let's close this report. Another report is useful for accounting people. To access it, go into the reports, click on the accounting, daily report, and the detailed one. Double click on it. You can apply a filter by branch for a specific employee. You can sort by date, invoice number, payment type, and enter a start date and end date, or even select a predefined time range. Let's print. Click on preview. On screen, you will have a lot of details about the daily report. You're gonna see in the payment and interest all the invoices that were done with the amount of money, cash, check, and a lot of details. You will see some details about the inter-branch payment, if it's something that you're gonna use in your Complus, all the deposits that were taken, the customer deposit directly in the customer file. You will have some details about your account, general ledger, And at the end of this report, you will have a summarized of everything: your receivable, your sales deposit, your repair deposit, and so on. When you're done, close this window and close this window. Let's talk about this statement, how you can send some statement to your customer. In Complus, it is possible to send specific statement or send multiple statements at the same time. Depending on your customer wish, you can send it by email, or fax them to them. Let's click on the customer. Let's search for a specific corporate customer. Let's select. You have on the list of buttons on the right side of the screen the button called statement. Let's click on it. You can enter a branch, a specific branch, and select a specific date, as you could tell the system to print the header of the actual branch. Let's click on print. You can print it directly on the printer, send it by email, something that could be useful if your corporate customer want it by email, or have a preview. Let's click on preview. This is where you're gonna find all the details about the statement. You can see all invoices, the current amount of money, that is the balance. You can see that the customer gave us a deposit of 1,000, and this is what is needed to be paid. When you're done, close this window. There's a tool that permits you to send several statements to your customers. It is called the Send Statements. To access it, go into the Tools section, double-click on the Send Statements feature. You can apply a filter by branch, select a date. You can tell the system that you want all the statements over 31 days, 61 days, 91 days. Let's select everything and click on Display. Let's maximize the screen. On the printer list, if you click Send, this will send all the statements to this printer that you just selected. You can do the same kind of action by sending your statement by email, depending if your customers want them by email. You can see we have that corporate customer we just created together, and we're gonna send him an email with this statement. If you click at preview and click on print, it will give you some details about this statement. Let's close this window. You can even do the same thing for the fax. When you're done, just close this window.